Y'all look good together. I said to her, listen, whoever you pick, I'm going to support you. As long as you're happy, I'm happy for you because she deserves it, you know? I'm probably buzzing for you.
Personally, looking at who Amaya chose, I am side-eyeing because I don't think that was the best choice for her. If I had my way, I know a lot of people feel some type of way about Zach and the way he reacted when everyone was piling on Amaya. But he explained himself afterwards. He wasn't too quick to read the room. At the end of the day, he chose Amaya on day one in Casa when they said stand up for Amaya. Otherwise, Amaya would have been the one that would have been sent back to the villa. He is the one who came back with Amaya from Casa. He's pursued something with Olandria, but that was after he fell out with Amaya. And so the idea that someone like Elon, whose number one was always Sierra and always rode with Sierra until Nick came out of the woodworks, I'm not buying that. Brian, we all know his number one pick was Andrina. His number two pick was Jaden. Amaya was a coupling of convenience. And so personally, I feel like Amaya went with sentiment. She went with someone from the same cultural background as her. She wanted to give him an opportunity. As far as I'm concerned, I think she knows there's no romantic connection. He's never initiated a kiss with her. She has had to ask him for kisses, and she has had to be proactive in the kisses. So I'm not buying that. And then Ace. Ever since he realized that he was not popular with the viewers, has suddenly decided to revamp his own character. He's suddenly gone quiet. He's no longer saying things with his full chest. Suddenly he's telling us about his life story and how he struggled as a child. Side-eye. That's what I'm going to say. And I guess the Nick and Olandria fans are finally happy. They have their couple that they've wanted, and hopefully it works out for the two of them. Anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button. Turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island USA, Season 7, Episode 30. Am I the only one who is side-eyeing production? Because I am waiting for Shirley and Olandria's redemption arc. Because if we're going to be shown a villain storyline, then we need a redemption arc. Because it seems Taylor and Huda are getting a redemption arc, which leads me to believe that they're going to be in the finale, given how their storylines are sort of turning. Huda is having a conversation with Chris. They really seem cutesy. I really love Chris for her. Chris seems to pacify her because he seems like a very mature and very mellow guy. So it's not this sort of fiery, combustible sexual attraction that she had with Jeremiah, but it's a more mature sort of relationship that I think Huda needs, because they spoke about her child. And I loved the context that they spoke about her child, because it wasn't the context of give me empathy because I'm a mother, but it was just a general conversation of her role as a mother outside of her role as Huda, maybe the sister, the daughter, the whatever. So I really loved that. They shared some cutesy jokes, which I really found funny. So I love this for her. Amaya was having a conversation with Olandria, and she was telling her that she went to speak easy and she made out with, Brian. Amaya, I really wish she could take a step back. Hopefully being on the show, when she leaves the show, as an HCP, you're taught to be a reflective practitioner. So I hope, if nothing else, she uses this experience to reflect on her relationship and how she so normally navigates on the relationships that she's in. She needs to take the constructive feedback, bad as it was delivered, and see where she needs to do the work in order to progress. Because every time she's always jumping into these relationships head first and kissing and whatever. And some of these guys are just going along with it because they want to be on the show. Pepe was talking about his connection with Iris. They were friends as well before they decided to explore this romantic connection. He seems very calm and very relaxed and seems to really like it. And Iris is saying the same thing. And I love this for them because they came in together. They have that bond of walking in together. They've seen each other in relationships with other people. And we've seen, on example is Huda, how different relationships can bring out different sides of you. So this, I think, will be better for them, because this is not this, as I was saying about Huda, this combustible, intense sort of physical attraction. It's a relationship where you're building slowly, and once you've built your foundation and it's solid, you will be able to flourish. So I love this for them. All the islanders go to sleep, and in the morning you have the guys make breakfast as per usual. The girls are excited. Amaya is talking about Brian, and it's like, oh, we need to move on. I don't think Brian is it for her. I think they're more aligned because of their cultural background, but I don't know whether there is that strong sort of emotional connection. Taylor decided to do breakfast. if he likes you or if he loves you, he'll do anything and everything. Taylor was being forced to do stuff for Olandria, and yet for Clark, he is willing to go above and beyond. You sent Amaya to go and keep Clark busy. Even Clark knew something was happening because Amaya, I expected that the next thing she was going to start asking medical history. So any past medical history, any familial history, because she didn't know what to say. Yes, they've had conversations with Clark, and Clark, I think, was questioning what's going on. Have production told her she needs to talk to me? Why is she talking to me? So by the time, Taylor and Ace had set everything up and Taylor came to get her, Ace was being a bit too extra in his role as a server. I think Ace has realized that he's not coming across very well, especially after the game, and he's trying to become more appealing. This is why he was trying to be goofy. It wasn't really necessary. He could have been serious. The fact that Taylor set out this breakfast for her, they had this cutesy moment. He was speaking to her about being ready to be his girlfriend in the real world. Taylor is really smitten, and this is what he looks like when he likes someone. What he was doing with Olandria is what he does when he's trying to pacify someone or trying to humor someone. This is him in a relationship where he really likes the person. That's the impression that I get. You have Iris and Pepe and Speakeasy. They were just speaking about themselves, their family, their backgrounds, and it was really cutesy. I really loved it. I think they bring a sense of calm every time they're together. They bring a sense of care as well about one another since they came in together. And I think the moment they explore, it's not like they friend-zoned each other to an extent that they can't explore it. I have a feeling they will be one of the most successful relationships after the show. If you were to ask me which relationships this season are going to be more successful, I'm going to say Pepe and Iris and what's his name? Taylor and Clark. Those are the two most successful relationships I can see at the moment. Huda is only one explosion away from Chris walking away, so I can't count that. And then Brian and Amaya, that is, I don't know what to say about that. I want to be naive and say it will work, but part of me thinks it's just doing this just to be on the show. They went on the dock, they were having a conversation, they were talking about their backgrounds, where they come from, the fact that Amaya's first generation, American, and she's the first nurse in her family. I think Amaya goes in too quickly for physical affection, and she needs to sit back and do what Iris and Pepe are doing. She needs to get to know the person she's with. She needs to have conversations and understand the type of person she is and how they receive love and express how she receives love. Because it seems every guy she's kissed, it's because she has initiated the kiss. None of the guys have actually initiated the kiss, if I can remember very well. And so I wish, if nothing else, she would allow these guys to lead her into what they expect or what they sort of require from a relationship, and then she can tell them what she wants from a relationship herself, because otherwise she's going to constantly have her heart broken because these people don't feel about her the same way that she feels about her. It's interesting how Ian sort of recorded the message about Sierra going was totally different. Maybe because it was more of a serious issue. And with Ulysses, it was right at the start, so nobody really knew who she was and people weren't bothered by her leaving. Whereas with Sierra, she was in a couple with someone. They had closed things off. And so people would want to know why exactly is she leaving, even though there were rumors online about her sort of posting something on social media that was very controversial. This is why you need to be mindful of what you post. Because that could carry you or follow you for the rest of your life. Poor Nick. Nick looked broken. You could tell that he had been crying. The boys were trying to console him, I think. I personally would have questioned why Nick stayed, but then because they were closed off, he could have easily left with her because they were in this couple and they felt like things were going well. He had closed things off. He didn't want to explore with anybody else, even though I said he was mainly pushed by Elon. But I think finding out the reason why she was being kicked off is the reason why he stayed. I have a feeling he didn't agree with what she had posted or what the rumors or whatever it was that she was kicked off for. This is why he stayed. The boys were trying to pacify him and they were trying to find out exactly what he's going to do because he's closed things off with Sierra. Sierra's gone home. He has stayed. Is he staying to try and explode somebody else, or is he staying just to wait to be dumped from the show himself? That way it makes sense. Because Fjord would be asking, if they're closed off, why is he still here? And he said he would just take one day at a time. You could see he was devastated, and the other guys must have been trying to console him. Amaya and Zach then went to the terrace for a chat. I feel like that was initiated by production because their last conversation, it seemed like they had decided to be friends and they'd closed everything else off, and she was going to try and explore with Brian. So for them to suddenly go up to the terrace and start talking about, oh, we've ironed out our differences, we're still open to exploring. No, that's not what they said. Amaya told us that was the end of her and Zach, and they'd shut things down. So suddenly to have her having this conversation with this man doesn't make sense. They both say they're in a very good, friendly place. If I had my way, I know they share the same cultural background with Brian. I feel like the best person for Amaya is Zach, because he was the one who was there for her in Casa when she was about to be dumped. He was the one who was constantly checking in on her. Yes, he left her frailing in the wind when the times got rough, but still at the end of the day, he paid her more attention that we saw of than Brian. So personally, I feel like Brian is trying to capitalize on a situation whereby she was struggling. He stepped up as the superhero, and now he's wanting to be in a romantic couple with her. If he really felt about her that way, he should have initiated this a long time ago. So I feel some type of way about that. You have Ace and Shirley having a conversation. I feel like this was initiated to try and revamp their character, to try and turn their storyline to give it a positive spin. Because Ace asked her about her childhood and how she grew up, and she started talking about the fact that she was they lived in shelters for a bit. And it's like, this is why he's asking her to speak, because he's trying to look for sympathy from the viewers. I feel like Ace still wants to win, and I feel like he's looking for a storyline that will allow the viewers to sort of see him in a different light, because he's realized that he's not being seen in the positive light that he expected. He spoke about how he would go to school in the very well-to-do areas and then still have to return home to Watts or whatever. And it's like, I'm not buying it, because suddenly, why are we hearing all this now that they've had, opinions of the viewers? Why didn't we hear about it when he initially was being pompous and was saying, I stand on 10 toes deep? He's realized that his image is not working for him the way he's presenting himself on the show. This is why he's trying to sort of look for empathy. And still, he's trying to produce the show, because he was trying to sort of say to Shirley, do you think it's a good idea, or don't you think it's a good idea for Olandria and Nick to continue to explore that? And it's like, it's not your place for you to initiate that or to negotiate that. These are two grown adults. If they feel like they want to explore it, allow them to do that. You don't need to give your opinion. You don't need to sort of ask anyone else to help you sort of initiate this. They are adults. They can initiate it if they want to. Nick and Olandria were having a conversation. They have a very good friendship that we know, because they've always talked about this friendship that they have. So it's not like this is their first conversation. Nick did speak to her, about this fact that now that Sierra's gone, he doesn't know what to do. He seems to imply that he's attracted to her. They were both attracted to one another, but Sierra was the obstacle. And in order to sort of have peace in the villa, this is why they didn't bring it up. This is why they decided to friend zone each other. Because even the way Olandria was quick to jump on board, I was pleasantly surprised, because we've seen her countless times shut down people. So the idea that she's open to exploring with Nick tells me that there was something there, but the guilt of not wanting to hurt somebody else is the reason why they shut it down and allowed Sierra to come back and just slot in. Because I was surprised that Sierra didn't address it with the two of them after her conversation with Iris, when Iris was saying, how can your friend kiss, your partner? Now they're exploring it, and she's just happy for him to stay behind and continue to do that. No, I feel like these people had a connection, but they decided to forgo the connection because they wanted to be respectful to other people. They have such a huge following of people that support Nick and Olandria, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they won the whole thing, regardless of the fact that they got together in the last minutes, because people have been calling for them sort of to couple up. People have been supporting them as a team. So, hey, if it works for them, amazing. Amaya has a chat with Elon. What do I think? I think Elon is settling with Amaya because he knows that's his only option. He's got no other option outside of Amaya. And this is why he's trying to tell her everything that he feels she wants to hear. When she asked him about his favorite foods, he could have named them. For him to say he likes Latin food, what do you mean by Latin food? Amaya had to talk about tacos, and it's like, oh, Taco Tuesday and stuff. It's like, if you like something, then say what it is you like. Don't pander to me. Don't tell me what you feel I want to hear. So that I didn't like. I felt like he was pandering to Amaya because he knows that she's the only girl he can convince to couple up with him because nobody else has shown him any interest. Brian and Olandria, they make a cute couple as well. One thing I like about Brian is he's a manly man. He's always going to put the woman first. He's always going to sort of try and make sure that the lady's comfortable, because even when he sat with her, do you want a drink? Do you want a snack? And so it's really sad that he and Amaya fell out during the challenge because they were doing very well. I wish he had been more honest with her and more vocal. With Olandria, I think she likes him, but I don't think she likes him more than she does Nick. And her allegiance is towards Nick. And whatever happens, whether or not she's in a romantic couple with Nick, she's going to stick to Nick. And so, sadly for him, he should have gone back to Amaya. I know he apologized a couple of days later, but that was a bit too late. I wish that night or the next day he had pulled Amaya and had a chat and they could have resolved their issues. Amaya at the fire pit with Huda, she's talking about the fact that, she's been dragged left, right and center by the boys because everybody knows that she's the only single girl in the villa. And so they are trying to put pressure, the three boys, to make sure that she picks them. Huda receives a text message that reads, Islanders, tonight there'll be a recoupling. The girls will choose the boy not picked will be single and vulnerable. And it's like, well, we already know. Chances, my money's on Amaya is going to pick Brian. So Amaya is sort of saying she's conflicted because of the guys that she's in a couple with. And personally, how I feel is this. If the fire hadn't died down between Andrena and Brian would never have looked at Amaya once. So he only looked at Amaya because he realized that his number one pick was gone. Same goes for Elon. If Nick had gone home, Elon would have been coupled with Sierra. He would never have looked at Amaya. So Zach, in my opinion, is the only guy that I feel she should be picking, because at the end of the day, when she stood in Casa and they said, does anyone want to stand up for her? He was the only one who stood up. Everybody else sat down, but he was the only one who stood up. Whether he stood up because he realized that Olandria was always going to go to Taylor, but still, at least he took the risk and stood up. Elon could have stood up because he knew that there was Nick back in the villa, but he didn't stand up for her. So as far as I'm concerned, Amaya should couple up with Zach, because Zach has sort of, yes, Brian spoke about the culture or whatever. That is something that Zach could not relate to. So to give, Brian brownie points for that, I don't. If you were to put side by side and sort of compare who has shown Amaya more than the other, or who has been compassionate, empathetic, understanding, and caring, my money's on Brian. So I wish she could choose Brian, but then obviously she might end up going with the person that she feels has the best connection with her. Chris was sitting with Huda. He was upset because he knows that two of his guys are going home, because Amaya can only pick one, she can't pick all three. So he knows out of three of the Casa boys, one of them is going home. He is with Huda. Huda can't dump him, because if she dumps him, then she has no one. So obviously the Islanders have received a message to say that there will be a dumping. Everyone is nervous. They get ready for the night. And then you have Olandria and Nick go to the dock for a conversation. I feel like production had this conversation with the two of them and told them that Nick needs to stay, and if he stays, he needs to couple up with you, Olandria, since you're the one he's already coupled up with. And at the end of the day, Olandria was quick to jump on board because she'd rather the devil she knows than an angel she doesn't, because her only other choice was Zach. So they did speak, and Nick said, we didn't fully explore it because I was worried about Taylor and Sierra, and I assume you were the same, so I guess we can give it a go. And it's like, I'm of two minds, because just the other day, Olandria was upset with Sierra because Sierra stood behind Taylor when Taylor was about to be voted out. And yet now she's comfortable with being in a couple with Nick after telling us that as her friend, she shouldn't have done that. How are you then, as her friend, considering coupling up with her partner? Is it because out of sight, out of mind? I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, Ariana arrives and she asks them all to come to the fire pit. There will be a recoupling. And so whichever boys are remaining single will be dumped from the villa. And sadly, this was the demise of Zach. Because he had started exploring Olandria, and had Sierra still been in the villa, he would have coupled up with Olandria. But because Olandria prioritized Nick, he had no other second option. Anyway, so we then have everyone at the fire pit. First up is Shirley. Are we surprised with who she picked? No. Ace, since the ratings challenge, has humbled himself. He has been humbled by realizing that the viewers are not buying whatever persona is trying to sell. And he's now so quiet, it's unbelievable. You can't even believe that he's the same person who was saying, I say what I say with my full chest, even though I'm 5'1". Now 5'1" has gone quiet. Why? What about that has made him quiet? So I'm not buying whatever he's trying to sell us, because he's realized the viewers don't like the persona he's been putting on, and now he's decided to be this humble and caring person. If Shirley wants to buy it, amazing. But since day one, I haven't bought his sort of connection with Shirley. I feel like if he had the cojones, as he said, he would have coupled up with Coco, because Coco is the person he wanted. And I think if Taylor had gone before him and he had seen Taylor pick Clark, he would have done the same. We have Clark. Clark chose Taylor. That was a no-brainer, because Taylor has been a totally different guy with Clark than he was with Olandria. The way he's caring, the way he's constantly holding her, caressing her, kissing her, being attentive, setting up dates, things that he was being forced to do for Olandria, he's doing without provocation. So I'm not surprised she picked him. They do make a cutie couple. She brings out, the lover boy in him, which I love for them. Next up is Huda. Huda said, she's picking Chris. He knows, or he allows her to be who she is, and he accepts her for who she is. I think he does bring out good qualities in her. Do I think she's truly reformed? I don't think so. She said he doesn't judge her. Yeah, he doesn't. And he appears very thoughtful. I think he's a very laid back type of guy. He's a gentle giant. So they make a cutesy couple, but I don't know how long that can last, just because Huda, I'm always worried every single time that she's about to lash out and be Hurricane, unless she's going to be Hurricane again once she's off the show, because she's trying to present this sort of settled persona. Next up was Iris. Iris chose Pepe. I think the moment Pepe said he wasn't feeling it with Grayson, we all knew it was going to be Iris. Out of all the girls that were left in the villa, Iris was going to be it for him. I think they hadn't explored it because they walked in together as brother and sister. So the chance to sit down and talk to one another and just be at peace. They're very cutesy when they're talking. You can see that there's a lot of love, a lot of respect for one another. Whether that will turn into something romantic, I don't know. But I guess they can take it one day at a time. They don't need to be, jumping each other's bones. And when they leave the villa, obviously they'll have conversations with Hannah and with TJ and see if that is something they're happy to explore, or whether they want to go back to their partners. But I have a feeling they're going to be a partner that's going to be one of the most successful if they continue on the path they are on, as long as they address their issues with their exes. Next up, we have Olandria. Olandria, I'm not surprised really with who she picked, because she seems very loyal. And given how much Nick went to bat for her when they were about to dump her after Casa recoupling, I'm not surprised that she picked him. Whether or not there was something romantic there, I am not surprised. They have this amazing friendship, and so I'm not surprised she picked him. I think had Sierra still been in the villa, then she would have gone with Zach. But because Sierra was gone, she had no choice but to pick the person she's most loyal to, and that was going to be Nick. And then Amaya Papaya. I feel Amaya made the wrong decision. That's just my opinion. I know a lot of people might beg to differ, but I feel like Amaya made the wrong decision. I feel like she should have gone with Zach. Yes, I know how he behaved in the challenge. The postcard challenge wasn't acceptable, but nobody is perfect. And as soon as he caught himself, he took time, reflected on it, and then came back. Because at the end of the day, we're judging him by a couple of lines that he said. But people like Elon's number one was always Sierra. Even when Nick resurfaced, he still wanted to go after Sierra until Sierra had to shut it down. So the idea that suddenly he went from that and then he jumped and he was now on Amaya, I'm not buying that. Brian as well, I'm not buying it. Brian came in and had this connection with Andrina, and it was hot and heavy, and he seemed content until they came back to the villa and Andrina told him she wanted to explore elsewhere. That's when he decided he wanted to explore Jaden. Amaya was still there. He could have easily pursued Amaya if he really was that into Amaya, because Amaya was complaining bitterly about the fact that Zach seemed to be sort of distant since they came back to the villa. So the idea that suddenly at the last minute, this is when he's realized that he wants to explore a connection with Amaya, I'm not buying it. I feel Amaya picked him because of their shared heritage and the fact that she was being emotional that I can't send one of my own people home and keep Zach. Zach made a mistake. Zach is not perfect. But on day one, when Amaya stood at the fire pit in Casa and they said someone needs to stand up for her, Zach stood up for Amaya. He's the only person who stood up for Amaya. And he had to deal with the backlash from Olandria for standing up for Amaya, even though she didn't want him. So the idea that he said what he said and he still came back and apologized. And I told her, Amaya, whoever you pick is fine. I am your friend. I will support you. And even after she picked, he still told her, Amaya and I are friends. I will support her regardless of whether she had picked me or not. So I am disappointed that she didn't pick him and give him a chance to prove himself. Anyway, what do you do? So the guys pack their bags. Elon and Zach, they've been dumped from the villa. I was sad to see Zach go. I thought Zach was a good character. I think he's very lively. I think he deserves to be on a show where he's celebrated and where he's fully understood. I wish Love Island UK had actually brought him on Love Island UK. But then it is what it is. He will be missed. Him and his Manchester accent will be missed. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 28. Bye guys.